All right, good morning, everybody. Let's go ahead and get started with today's demo. So today we are making a cinnamon butter cookie. So kind of similar to a snickerdoodle, if you've ever had that, that is what we're doing today. So this is going to be the start of our cookies unit. Now, if you remember from our quick breads unit, we assembled the muffins using the creaming method. That is the method that we are going to be using for the cookies. Now, you can see on your camera, I have two mixers in front of me. Why have I done that? Will you need two mixers for your lab? No. The reason why I've done this is to kind of show off and show why we, in the creaming method, need to take the time to beat air into the butter and sugar mixture. So here I have two mixers and I'm going to be using them to make the same recipe, but with the one that you're seeing on your right, I'm going to basically take the time, I'm just going to mix it together until it's just the butter and sugar is just combined and not really take the time to beat air into it. Whereas the one on your left, I'm going to take the same ingredients and take the time to really beat air into it. Okay, I have all the same equipment, just doubled up. Okay, and all my ingredients are set and ready to go. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. So for the ingredient amount, okay, let me just make sure the camera's still good. All right, okay. For the ingredient amounts, you're going to need 3.5 ounces or 3/4 of a cup of all-purpose flour. Now, if you do not have a 3/4 measuring cup, you can just simply take a 1/4 measuring cup, fill that up 3 times, and you'll get this amount. Okay, again, your recipe maybe the amounts may look a little bit different if you are going by volume instead of by weight. But 3.5 ounces of all-purpose flour. Next is a 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. Baking powder, not baking soda. 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, ground cinnamon, that should be in your kits. 1.5 ounces of white sugar, or 1/4 of a cup of white sugar. 2 ounces of brown sugar. Now, as you can see here, the brown sugar is packed tightly. So here, if you're going by a volumetric measurement, that would be 1/4 of a packed cup of brown sugar. Now, this is also another reason why I like going by weight here. If you were to do 2 ounces of brown sugar, it's easy. It doesn't matter if it's, loose like this or if it's packed tightly like this. 2 ounces is going to be 2 ounces. Whereas if I tell you, hey, a 1/4 cup packed brown sugar, you may pack it a lot more tightly than I did here. So you're going to have more brown sugar if you're, going by volume instead of by weight. So let me show you real quick how to appropriately measure brown sugar. Now, with clean hands, or in this case, a gloved hand that has been washed, my hands have been washed before I put on the glove, you're going to take your brown sugar and scoop it and then just kind of pack it into the measuring cup. I'm going to then scoop again and then pack again. Okay. I'm then going to get something to level off with and then scrape. And there you'll see I have 1/4 of a cup measured, packed, ready to go. Okay. But again, significantly easier to go by weight rather than volume. Okay. All right, so after that 2 ounces of brown sugar, I have 1/2 of an egg. So think back to, I believe it was the muffins recipe, where you take an egg, you just beat it into a bowl, and then you pour off 1/2 of it and you get 1/2 an egg. For me, it was easy since I'm making 2 of the same recipe. I just took 1/2 of the egg, put in here for the one on the right, one for the one on the left. It's nice and easy. Okay. 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. and then half of a teaspoon of kosher salt. All right. Now, in our next lab, I'm going to explain a little bit more about why we use kosher salt instead of iodized regular table salt that you guys may have at home. If you have an ingredient kit, use the kosher salt. Do not use table salt that you have in your home. Okay. You probably have noticed that maybe some of your recipes have come out a little more salty than you kind of expected. That's why. Okay. Now, that is the amounts for the cookies themselves. Now, what we're going to be doing is after we make the cookies, we're going to scoop them into a cinnamon sugar mixture and then rolling them around and coating them that way. Now, for here, what I have combined here is just regular white sugar mixed in with cinnamon. Now, I've obviously, as you can probably see, I've really scaled up the recipe from what I'm going to be giving you here. So for yours, it's going to be to make this topping, you're going to go with 1 ounce or a heaping tablespoon of regular white sugar mixed with 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. Now, again, you can scale this up quite a bit. So here I'm going to make sure every cookie really gets coated in the cinnamon sugar mixture. It should look around this color. There's no real exact science of this. You just put in white sugar, you stir in a little bit of cinnamon until it looks about the right color. If you're somebody who likes cinnamon, you can add a little bit more, make the color a bit darker. For me, this is kind of a good halfway point. All right. All right, so there are your ingredients. Okay, so now we go on to the steps. So for step 1, preheat your oven to 400 degrees. So preheat the oven to 400 degrees. That's step 1. Step 2, you're going to mix together the flour, the cinnamon, and the baking powder. So flour, baking powder, and cinnamon. Okay. Make sure I clean as I go. And I'm just going to simply mix that together. Okay, put that now to the side. Now, step 3 is I'm going to combine, or I'm going to cream together the, one ingredient amount that I forgot to put on there. 2 ounces or 4 tablespoons of unsalted butter. So 2 ounces or 4 tablespoons of butter. Don't know how I missed that, because that's a crucial ingredient here. Okay, I'm going to put that into my mixers with both of the sugars. Okay, have to make sure I really stay organized as I go. Okay, so step 3 is you're going to cream together the butter and the sugar for 5 to 6 minutes. Now, if you have a stand mixer here, you're going to turn this up to about 6 or 8 as far as speed wise. If you're using an electric hand mixer, the one that has a little egg beaters at the ends of it, you're going to beat this together for about 10 minutes. For those of you who don't have either, you're going to just use a wooden spoon and just use good old-fashioned arm power. And I would do that for at least 10 minutes because you're going to need to kind of make up the strength that you're not getting in a mixer. Okay, so I'm going to try to speak a little more loudly here so that you guys can hear me over the mixers. But to start, I'm going to turn on both of these mixers on just a very low speed until the butter is just combined. Now, on the one here, on this mixer, I'm going to stop the recipe when it gets to that stage. I'm going to stop it when the butter and the sugar are just mixed together, and that's it. Whereas the one on the left here, I'm going to properly beat this for about 5 to 6 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to start that, and then I'll adjust the camera so you can see what's going on. Okay, so right now you see it's starting to get almost like wet sand. I'm gonna slowly turn up the speed. Okay, this stage where it's at right now, let me see if I can just move the mixer just a little bit. I'm going to stop the mixer that was on your right. I'm going to stop that right at this stage. This one, however, I'm going to beat at high speed for about 5-6 minutes. You'll start to see, I'm going to pause the camera. You're going to see how this is going to change, and then we'll go through the rest of the recipe like normal, and you're going to see the difference between the two types of cookies. Okay, so I'm going to turn this up and let it go. Okay, one thing I did forget in step 3, also combine the kosher salt into the mixers at this time as well. So add your kosher salt to this step as well. All right, this is about at the 3-minute stage here. You can see it's lightened up quite a lot. What you just need to do is you're going to scrape down the sides of the bowl and scrape the paddle attachment. Because if you don't do this, a lot of this stuff will stay stuck to the side of the bowl, and this is not going to cream as evenly as you would like. So I'm just going to just simply scrape the paddle just real quick, get it back, kind of make sure the sides of the bowl are kind of clean. I'm going to turn the mixer back on and keep it going for the remaining time. All right, so here we go. So this is about 6 minutes later. As you can see, it's a lot lighter, a lot more airy and light in color. Whereas if we go to the other mixer, it's all dense, gritty. This mixture is going to make significantly less cookies, more dense cookies, not nearly as good as what we're going to see here, okay? So now let's continue on with the rest of the recipe. All right, from here on out, the recipes are going to be the same. So, step 4, you're going to add in your eggs and vanilla while the mixer is going at a medium speed. So I'm going to turn both of these up. Okay, add in my egg and vanilla. And the egg and vanilla. Every last bit of it. Now I'm going to just stop just for a moment to make sure to once again scrape down the sides of the bowl and everything so this gets mixed evenly. So that down. And scrape down the sides here. All right, and then continue to mix this. And again, if we take a look, one on the right, or sorry, one on the left here, nice light and airy. One on the right, kind of more dense and uninspiring at best. Okay, so that was step number 4. Okay, step number 5. Now here's where you can mess up big time here. Okay, you're going to add in your flour gradually. I would recommend just using a regular spoon and just scooping in the flour mixture into a mixer while it's running at low speed. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to turn this on to low speed, maybe about 2, 3, or 4 on the mixer, and then just gradually scoop in the flour mixture. Just until I see no more dry flour. Now, occasionally you're going to probably need to scrape down the sides of the bowl just to help it out. You're going to mix this just until it comes together as a cohesive dough. Again, just going to scrape the bottom of the bowl here. All right, there we go. So that's mixer number 1. Adding my flour gradually to this one. Start the mixer, just scrape down the sides. There we have it. We have our cookie dough. So, okay. So, one on the left. You can see a little bit lighter in color now, whereas the one on the right, a little more dense. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take both of these bowls off of the mixer. I'm going to clear the mixers away, and then we're going to go on to our next step. All right, so now we got our two trays and we've got our 2 mixers here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go on to step 7, which is just to scoop out the portions onto baking trays. Now, what I'm going to use, what we use in professional bakeries and here at the school, is we are going to use what's called a disher. Now, some of you kind of regard this as an ice cream scoop. That's totally fine. It's perfect for that. But what it does is it ensures that every single cookie that you make is the exact same size. And if you can do that, make sure that every cookie is the same size. If it's the same size when it goes into the oven, that means it's going to cook evenly. So you won't have this thing where one cookie is way overdone and one's underdone and you're not sure what to do. Take it out of the oven, let the other ones burn, or should you take it out and have some that are undercooked. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to scoop out my portions, and you can see every single one of them is the exact same size. So therefore, they come out of the bowl evenly. They're going to cook evenly. So this is what I'm going to do for step 6. Sorry. No, wait, hold on. Yeah, step 6. right. Okay, I'm gonna pause the camera here so you don't have to watch me do this whole thing for both sides, and then we'll go from there. All right, so they're portioned out right now. Okay, here on the left is the cookies that have been creamed properly, whereas the ones on the right are the ones that haven't. As you can see, I've used up all the dough in the bowls here. As you can see, then the amount of cookies is not the same, despite us using the same exact disher. You can see the difference. There's here on the right side here, I have about 5.5 cookies. Whereas on the left here, I've got 7 cookies. Now, since we are doing a half recipe here, yeah, okay, maybe 1.5 cookies isn't really that big of a deal. But imagine doing this on a regular recipe that makes 24, 30 cookies. Imagine doing this in a professional bakery where you're making hundreds, thousands of cookies a week. It adds up, and it's a lot of money that you lose out on by not having, not making more product. So here it's, taking that step really makes a huge difference here. The cookies that are here on the left are going to be lighter. They're going to have a little bit more of a melt in your mouth texture, whereas the ones on the right are not going to bake evenly. They're more dense. Yeah, it's still probably going to be a good cookie, but not nearly as good as it could have been. Okay, so I hope this kind of shows you the importance of taking your time with the creaming method. All right, so now we go on to our next step, which is, I believe, if I have counted correctly, is step 8, which is to coat the cookies in the cinnamon sugar mixture before baking. So just gonna simply take the cookie pieces, just kind of roll them around in the sugar mixture. You can roll it with your hand if you want, like kind of do that thing, but I'm not going to. Okay, shake off the excess sugar, otherwise it'll just burn on the pan. Just going to coat this. And then when I put them onto my baking sheet, I'm going to space them out so that they're not spreading, on top of each other here. So here, just gonna coat them. Okay, so on the left here, I'm gonna have 6 of the cookies from the proper creaming here going, and then I'll have the other ones going here. All right, so I'm going to just coat this. Place that on. And now this one I'm actually not going to bake because it's a lot smaller here. It's not going to cook evenly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the cookie that was creamed properly and put onto it right there. All right, now a couple things just before we start go any further here. I know there's some cookie dough left in this bowl, and I know it's tempting to eat it. Okay, just keep in mind the flour that is in your ingredient kit is bleached flour, so it is toxic to eat raw. I mean, you do you. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to be there to stop you. But if you want to taste the cookie dough, just keep in mind this is bleached flour. It's not good for you. Okay. If you're using your own flour at home and it's unbleached flour, then by all means go for it. It's up to you. You can make that decision yourself, but just my personal recommendation here. All right, now we're gonna go to our last step here, which is I'm going to bake this in the 400-degree oven for anywhere from 9 to 11 minutes. Again, maybe check on them at the 8-minute mark or so. They should be slightly golden brown around the edges, but the inside still looking almost like it's a little bit underdone. Okay. Again, you can always add time. You can't really take it away. So I'm going to bake both of these, and then I'll show you next time we come back. I'm going to show you what these look like and compare both cookies. All right. Okay. All right, and here is our end result. So as you can see, there is a noticeable difference here. If I kind of flip these over, I have the one cookie that was from the proper creaming method over on this side. As you can see, there is a little bit of darkness. Now you can rectify this by just baking it for a little bit less. However, if I flip the cookie over, you'll see around the edges, it's a lot darker. That's because the extra air that you beat into this actually insulates the dough and allows it to bake a little more evenly. Here, on the other hand, you can see all that heat goes into the cookie way too quickly, and we end up with something that's just not nearly as good. So hopefully this kind of convinces you, hey, this is the difference between creaming properly and not creaming properly. Okay, all right, so go ahead and fill in if you haven't already, make sure you have your mise en place sheet filled. You'll have your ingredients set up, ready to go for tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be our lab with this. If you have any questions, please let me know. All right, and there we have it.